Alright, how's it going, guys? Today we're going to be going over the Edmonton Oilers and who I believe they should choose in the 2019 draft. So, the Edmonton Oilers currently hold the number 8 spot, and I believe at the number 8 spot there's still a lot of really good talent that could really help their roster and depth charts going into the future. Alright, and I believe this is the fourth video on this topic, and keep in mind we're going to be choosing the best player for the team based on positional needs, not necessarily based on the best available. But anyways, guys, let's get straight into this video. So, when looking at their center depth right now, they have Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, Kyle Brodziak, and then some others. To be honest, are not a lot of top-end talent here. And the other kind of players they do have are like, Leon Draisaitl and Nugent-Hopkins, who have been known to play the wing just as much as they play center. Specifically Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, who played a lot of wing with Connor McDavid last season. And they do have some other, prospects in their center depth system right now, but no one I would consider a blue chip prospect. Alright, and on left wing we have the goal scorer, Milan Lucic. We have Jujhar Khaira, sorry if I pronounced that wrong, and others like Tyler Benson, and that's basically it. And I guess Antoine Slepyshev. On right wing we have Alex Chaisson, Ty Ratty, Zach Kassian, Ryder Puljujarvi, Sam Gagner, who can also play that center position, Kailer Yamamoto, and some other prospects in their system. On defense, we have Oscar Klefbom, Adam Larsson, Darnell Nurse, Chris Russell, Sekera Petrovic, Benning, Gravel, Manning, Bear, Jones, and other good futures like Evan Bouchard, who was drafted in last year's draft by the Edmonton Oilers. So, to be honest, when kind of going through the roster right now, where do they need to draft? So honestly, Edmonton's biggest issue, and the biggest issue that has really held them back from being that competitive, Stanley Cup winning team, is just forward depth. We have their all-stars like McDavid, Nugent-Hopkins, Draisaitl, and then other than that, we have, it really trails off fast. Puljujarvi, not panning out, and other guys like Yamamoto needing more time to develop. Edmonton really lacks center depth. They basically have the first line and nobody else. And it was very apparent last season that they lacked, forward depth very, very badly. To be honest, on the defensive core side, they're not too bad. You have Oscar Klefbom, Adam Larsson, Darnell Nurse, who had a really good, breakout season last year, and some other pieces who can fit in that top 6 role. And then we of course have some more futures like, Bear and Bouchard. So, where would I draft and who would I draft if I was the Edmonton Oilers? Well, I would draft a forward. There's no question about that, but good thing there's a lot of really good forwards left. And to be honest, on their current positional needs and how they structured their lineup last year, I could say they very much benefit from drafting a center. However, they do draft another winger, and we have some more wingers panning out, like Tyler Benson and Yamamoto. It would definitely take some of the stress off, Draisaitl and Nugent-Hopkins, and they wouldn't necessarily have to stack the first line with McDavid like they've been doing the past couple seasons. So with that being said, I believe they should draft a winger. But good thing there's a lot of really great wingers left on the board. So the first player I would recommend is Peyton Krebs. Peyton Krebs is already compared to Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, and Edmonton could definitely benefit from Peyton Krebs. Peyton Krebs is super competitive, super motivated, and has a really good offensive ceiling. He's a really interesting prospect because he actually played on the Kootenay Ice, and the Kootenay Ice was just a horrible team, and he had no support. Kind of like McDavid on the Edmonton Oilers. But Peyton Krebs had no offensive support, and even with that, role he was given in Kootenay, he was still over a point per game, and he looked like a fantastic player with a lot of upside. He is also defensively responsible, and can play in all positions of the game. So Peyton Krebs would be someone, if I was Edmonton, I would look at very strongly. Others include Matthew Boldy, who I talked about in the past, who is, he's a Swiss Army knife player. He can do everything. He can play up and down the lineup. He can play on the penalty kill. He can play on the power play. And he's just that. He's honestly like the most complete player in this draft. Another person I would look at if I was Edmonton, someone who I would take a risk on, would be Cole Caulfield. And to some, it's not a massive risk, but to others, they consider, a high risk because of his size. So Cole Caulfield currently is coming around 5'7", 160-pound range. He's definitely on the way smaller side, but his offensive ceiling is high. So if he is able to transition into the NHL, this could be a home run pick for Edmonton Oilers, who strongly lack secondary scoring support. And Cole Caulfield could be someone who eventually gets to play with McDavid, and that would be a very nasty line if Cole Caulfield could transition into the NHL, as well as some people believe he can. However, I do have a plan B to this draft, and it's an option I would take if I were the Edmonton Oilers. there's many teams in this draft who would be willing to trade up and be willing to give up pieces in order to trade up. So whether that's, Minnesota, who was recently shopping, Jason Zucker, to Vancouver and some other teams. So maybe, Jason Zucker could be a fit for Edmonton. Or perhaps, we have the Ottawa Senators who, gave up the number 4 pick this year in order to keep Brady Tkachuk from last draft, who was a part of that whole Matt Duchene trade last year. So if I was Ottawa, I would definitely be hitting up, Ken Holland and being like, what do I need to give you to acquire that number 8 pick? And I feel like there is definitely a deal to be made. Ottawa, they're in a complete rebuild. They want to acquire those more top-end draft picks. They don't have theirs this year. They do have the number 18 pick, I believe. Let me double check that. They have the number 19 pick. And at the number 19 pick, there's still a lot of solid defensemen, still a lot of solid wingers that the Edmonton Oilers could pick up. So that would be one of my interesting, suggestions is Edmonton should be trading this pick and acquiring more depth for their lineup, as well as potentially trading down in the draft, still getting a good draft pick, but having more assets on their team, because that is something Edmonton is lacking. Somehow, with all the first round picks or, top 10 draft picks they've acquired through the last decade, they are severely lacking, forward depth and just assets. Creating more assets would benefit them, but at the same time, if they did want to make their pick, I would totally understand it, because there's a lot of elite talent still on the board at 8. Another team that may want to draft higher is the Vancouver Canucks. So Benning is like, he's a genius when it comes to drafting. And that may be controversial, but we're seeing picks come through like, Elias Pettersson, Brock Besser, and even in the 2014 draft, Benning was part of the group that drafted, Pasternak. I could see Vancouver wanting to move up in the draft. However, they do have 10, so they wouldn't pay too much to move up. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Again, thank you guys so much for all the support. I'm having a blast making these videos. More to come. Thanks for watching, guys.